It was the interception that ended their playoff hopes.
Yeah.
This one.
The hopes were faint, though.
Well,
it's a bad pick, but the worst in the league.
Well, I mean, find me one other pick this year that took a team from a 1-6 chance at the playoffs to 0. Because that's what that did. Going into the game, Wild said they were, 11%, you said?
Yeah, they could have popped up.
Right, and they're down 3 at the cusp of field goal range on second down, and he throws a pick, and then gets the ball down 6. It was Hail Mary time, but couldn't even get the Hail Mary off because he takes a sack.
I think the miss on Pearsall may have led to him throwing that bad decision. You know
I totally agree with you. He misses that, but the guys miss passes. You then live to fight another down. You don't live to fight on that one. And so, listen, his bad games are awful. Mm-hmm. He has 4 games this year with a passer rating sub 75. The only people with more are both ARs, Anthony Richardson and Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, and rookies, Caleb Williams and Bo Nix. That's it. And so it's either quarterbacks that popped their Achilles last year, a quarterback who got benched, or rookie quarterbacks. That's it.
CJ's had some horrible games.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you, the only quarterbacks with more sub 75 passer rating games than Purdy are those 5. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I just think,
I mean, listen, I don't know. On Monday, after Purdy played a great game against the Bears, the discussion pre-show and during the show was he's earned his contract. They've got to pay him. I don't know how the Niners, in good conscience, when they are probably about to be in the midst of a not-so-soft rebuild, commit $55+ million a year to this guy without seeing him again.
So Nick is just blasting Brock Purdy there, saying he has the most terrible games this year. If you just kind of look at games where his rating has been really abysmal, Brock Purdy is pretty much at the bottom of the league. I mean, there's only a few quarterbacks that have had more terrible games than Brock Purdy this year. And it's definitely been up and down. I mean, he comes out to open the season, and he has an okay game against the Jets. He throws for 231 yards, doesn't throw for any touchdowns, but also doesn't throw for any picks, 65.5% completion percentage, and a rating of 89.9, so just an okay game there. Against the Vikings, has a much better game, almost completes 78% of his passes, throws for 319 yards, throws 1 TD and 1 pick, a rating of 101.3, so he played fairly well there. Week 3 lit up the Rams. 3 passing touchdowns, 292 pass yards, 73% completions, and a rating of 137.1. So even though the Niners lost that game in Week 3 against the Rams, he played really well. And then the next game against the Pats, another very average or below average game. Threw a touchdown, threw a pick, threw for 288 yards, but only completed 55% of his passes. So that was just a rating of 89.7. And then he was terrible against the Cardinals the following week. Only completed 54% of his passes, threw 2 picks, a rating of 62.1. So that was pretty terrible. And then against the Seahawks, the next game, he just has this amazing game. Passer rating of 129.3. Throws for 3 touchdowns, completes 64% of his passes, so just very inconsistent because it's like a great game, a terrible game, a great game, a so-so game, a great game. It's just up and down roller coaster for Brock Purdy this year. And then against the Chiefs, so he has that amazing game against the Seahawks, and then against the Chiefs, he has his worst game of the year. He threw for 3 picks. He did not throw any touchdowns. He had a rating of 36.7, so that was a terrible game for Purdy. And then he comes out the next game and obliterates the Cowboys. He has a rating of 114.3. Another good game against the Bucs. He threw for, his highest number of yards on the season of 353 against the Bucs, a rating of 119. And then a couple terrible games after that. He struggled at home against the Seahawks, only threw 159 yards against the Seahawks at home, rating of 85.3. Niners lose that game. Against the Bills, that was an abysmal game. Couldn't even break the 100-yard mark passing the football, so that was really terrible, a rating of 74.8. And then he has his best game of the season passer rating-wise against Chicago. completes 80% of his passes, has a rating of 145.4, throws for 2 touchdowns, no picks, 325 yards. So he looked like a superhero, a superstar against the Bears. And then, almost as bad as the Chiefs game, this last game on Thursday night against the Rams, he had a rating of 45.4, didn't throw any touchdowns, threw 1 pick, only threw for 142 yards, and he completed 45% of his passes, which is absolutely terrible. And, Nick is just saying Purdy has been awful this year. And Brock Purdy has had a lot of very, very rough games this year. A lot of games where Nick mentioned his passer rating is not even 75 or above. So let me know what you think about it here. Do you agree with Nick Wright that Brock Purdy has been awful this year? Or do you kind of give him a pass and you're just saying, hey, there's a lot of injuries. There's a lot of other stuff going on around him. It's not all his fault. Maybe it's even the coaches. Maybe it's Shanahan. Defense has been pretty terrible too for the most part over the season. So a lot of people are blaming Nick Sorensen. So let me know what you think about it in the comments section. I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this, and I will talk to you soon.